I enjoy making farms of this size because there's a lot of fun built into it. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of processing, there's a lot of challenge built into these. And it's not always about the scale, but I like to create something that has a unique taste as well as isn't really made by a lot of other people. And that could be really hard in Minecraft. Every farm you could think of, maybe 100,000 other people have built a variation of. This kelp farm, however, I don't see a lot of people building something of this scale. Everybody's probably built a kelp farm or has used kelp and realized how pointless it is to have. I disagree with kelp. It was put into the game for many reasons, and I think that the fact that it is its own fuel source and food source and a bone meal source makes it a pretty reliable crop to actually harvest. And I wanted to make it even more useful. And I have built an XP furnace array to do just that. I'm not going to say it's very time efficient, but it is very resource efficient based on the fact that it does take 10 times the kelp than it would cactus. But as a result, it actually gets used for something other than ocean decoration. And I think that's a great reason to have built a farm of this scale. I did a lot of testing with this, and it wasn't really easy to make some of the choices I had to make. I could have made this farm bigger in many ways. I could have made it taller, I could have stacked multiple modules, I could have done a lot with it. I could have made a sphere based kelp farm, and that seemed like a bit unnecessary. It would have made the slime wire a little more complicated, but I also could have had some of these modules over here a couple chunks longer. I could probably have up to here about 8 more modules out to here, but it doesn't really affect the rates much. It'd be like an extra couple of modules per side. So it was something I decided to cut because I wanted a nice rectangular shape with this. And then collection became quite a problem. I still gotta set that up, but it was an interesting challenge. We tried everything we could think of, from minecarts to ice streams, and that ended up being quite oblivious to the fact that the gates were the only real choice. Now, we could have obviously used something like soul sand and made this a really laggy farm for our frame rates, but the soul sand doesn't really affect the server side. But getting to this spot with that many particles would have been a real challenge, and I think that that's another reason why I didn't use that. There's a lot of other choices I had to make with this, and thanks to Jay, we actually managed to make the coolest slime wire I've ever seen. This is just a really cool idea for the farm. And it also has an instant shut-off line, and a bunch of other stuff was built into this after I thought it was done. We also had to solve a small problem here, which he mentioned in his video, which I will link above. But all in all, I think that this is a great build and an even better time-lapse, and that's what I wanted to bring to you guys today. I think that you guys are going to thoroughly enjoy the time-lapse that was made during all the work that was done with this. I do not have any of the digging time-lapse, but I do have everything basically from about a quarter of the stone platform being built to the rest of this farm being completely done. And a lot of that editing I did for that was a lot of fun, but we actually ended up having to harvest some of the kelp during this. And when we were doing so, we were over here. Actually, Jay was on this side and I was on that side. And as I was trying to edit the replay, as soon as we sent one of these machines off, Replay Mod was not happy with me. So I couldn't view any of the paths I had made with most of this just because of the amount of time it took. This farm is just so massive, and the time we invested into it, the replays were actually really, really long, and I couldn't really get the perfect edits I wanted out of them, but I did get a lot of really good edits. I had to make a decision as well, and you'll notice that most of these replays will actually be submerged because the shaders I used actually reflect a lot of the surface, and when it's reflecting the surface, you can't really see underneath, so there might be some limited range with the shaders, but you'll actually be able to see a lot more of it than you would otherwise. But other than that, it was a really fun project to do. I'm really happy that this is done. There's a couple other projects related to this coming in the future, but with all that said, I hope you guys enjoy the time lapse. I've worked hard on it. This farm being done is amazing. But yeah, enjoy.